Okay, so MPLS. So guys, do you know what is the full form of this MPLS? Anyone?
Multi-protocol level switching.
Multi-protocol label switching. Okay, so if you know the definition, this one. So just tell me like why we use this protocol, multi-protocol label switching.
Uh, can't say so.
Okay, anyone?
So router uses 32 bits address, so it is very difficult to router to maintain the database to all the routes. So it will minimize the
For VPN purposes, we use this.
Okay, but stand for the multi-protocol label switch is forward the packet for source to destination, not by means hop by hop. It will be
Okay.
send the packet.
Okay.
Basically, we can say yes, we are working on.
You can say, sir, for fast switching, you can use MPLS.
Okay.
Actually, it's forwarding packet based on label. That's why, because if IP, it will check.
Guys, what was my question? Look. What was my question?
Why we use MPLS?
Why we need MPLS, right? Correct?
Yes.
For VPN.
Let's suppose we don't have that MPLS, so what issues I can face in my network?
Actually,
Just tell me that thing.
Actually, it will take time to reach
MPLS
destination.
basically
It will
used for
take time,
fast switching.
really? Okay, so someone is saying it will take time, right? It will take time to send the packet like from one end to another end, right? But
It will
let's
take
suppose.
yeah.
Tell me.
It will take reach destination. It will take a little bit time. Suppose if you're using MPLS, it will forward packets based on label. It won't
Okay,
take
basically look here.
direct.
What we cannot say like it will take time. Reason? Let's suppose I'm using a core with an MPLS core. Okay, I'm using a core without MPLS core. Without MPLS. Okay, so let's suppose this is a diagram, and here we have a cloud. Here we have a user connected. Same here we have a user connected. This is behind here we have Facebook.com. Same here behind we have Facebook.com. Right? If I try to do a ping from here and here, the speed will be same 100%. Okay. So we cannot say, look here, your concept is clear, I know. Okay. But what is the thing here? We cannot say the speed will be slow or fast. What we can say here, it will do one extra lookup in table, right? Let's say without MPLS, what we are doing here, we are using a packet with layer 2 frame, right? With IP address, with the header, this one, right? The network header, layer 3 header. So what will happen here, whenever any device will receive the packet, what it will do, it will first of all remove the layer 2, as we have discussed last time, right? And then it will check the layer 3 and it will do a lookup in the routing table to send the packet out, correct? Right? With MPLS, what will happen here, it will never check L3 network, never. Okay, it means what we are doing here, we are just saving this processing. Okay, so we cannot say that is fast or slow, because here we are going to IP header directly and here we are going to MPLS header, but yes, we are doing a lookup, right? But in this case, what will happen here, we will check the IP header, we will check the routing table to forward the traffic, right? And in this case, we will never check the routing table, we will never check the your CEF table to forward the packet, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so guys, that thing is wrong. Like it will take time, it will not take time. Okay, so this is the real thing, with or without MPLS. Okay. Now, again back to this one. Why we need MPLS? Okay.
For security purposes, like if you
For
want to
security
compare,
purpose. Okay, can you
like
explain?
VPN like for VPN purposes.
Is
Like
my
if we
voice
want to
audible? Hello.
communicate, like we want to communicate from one customer side to the other customer side to the
If
like
we want to
core network.
communicate,
To make our
okay,
packet forwarding fast.
packet forwarding fast.
If-
Again, no, we cannot say
if-
that packet
No, the
forwarding
main
is fast.
application is for traffic engineering and the PPVPNs.
Yeah,
Okay.
quality of service, like also like class of service or class of service.
If we want to use same private address in both sides, then we can use.
Guys,
we
look,
can transfer
we have to
multiple
discuss the
layers
basics
to
only.
know the traffic.
Wait. We have to discuss the basics only right now. Okay. So let me draw a diagram. So as I told you, like before MPLS, you should have the basic knowledge of BGP, or basic, I can say, you should be expert in BGP. If you know the BGP protocol, okay. So the MPLS will be like will be a cup of tea for all of you. Okay. Now, so first of all, what I will do, I will create a diagram. Okay. In the diagram, we will discuss what issues we can have, and then to resolve the issues, what solution we have, and the one solution we have, that is MPLS. So first of all, I will start using a diagram to explain this thing. Let's say here we have R1, R2, R3, and like this we have connectivity. Okay, so here we have R5, and finally here we have R6. So on this edge router, okay, not edge router, I'm not using the term here right now. So right now, let's suppose this is my core network. Okay, this is my IS, sorry. ISP, and here we have customer connected, and same here we have customer connected. So now let me use some routers here in the customer, R10 and R20. So first of all, what I will do, let's suppose we are using here the ACE number, that is 100. Okay, the internal core routers are using let's say OSPF. Okay, so in between, what I will do here, first of all, I will configure IBGP. Just a minute. Guys, please turn off your mic. Okay, so first of all, what I will do here, first I will configure OSPF here just to make the communication end to end, right? End to end, it means in the core network. It means R6, R2, R3, 1, 4, and 5 should be reachable via each other, right? Next thing, what I will do here, I will configure BGP peering, but I will just configure a BGP peering with R5, right? So this customer, this router that is having connectivity with this customer, same here, this router that is having a connection with the customer. So I will configure here IBGP first of all. Okay, now in between 6 and 20, I will configure EBGP. Same here, in between 5 and 10, I will configure EBGP. So look here guys, what will happen here, let's say I'm using a interface that is 2.2.2.2, that is a loopback address. Okay, so what I will do here, I will advertise, correct? So R20 will send the route to R6. So R6 will maintain a routing table. How it will maintain 2.2.2.2.2 is reachable via R20, correct? Then R6 will say to R5, 2.2.2.2 is reachable via R6, and R5 will send a route to R10. So that will maintain 2.2.2.2 is reachable via R5. Same here, let's say here we have some address 1.1.1.1.1. R10 will send the route to R5. R5 will maintain 1.1.1.1.1 is reachable via R10. Same here, R6 will maintain the route 1.1.1.1 is reachable via R5. And same here, it will maintain a route 1.1.1.1 is reachable via R6, correct? So what will happen here, whenever this user will try to do a communication to this address, this user will send the traffic here, perfect. R6 will try to send the traffic towards R5, because once R6 will check how to reach 1.1.1.1.1, the next hop is of R5. Let's say that is 5.5.5.5. Now R6 will check the 555 is reachable via which router. It will check, okay, that is reachable via maybe R2 or maybe R3. So what will happen here, R6 will try to send the packet out to R4, R2 let's suppose. Then R2 will check the routing table. It will do a lookup for 1.1.1.1.1 in the routing table. So what will happen here, R1, R2 don't know how to reach 1.1.1.1.1. So R2 will drop the packet. Same here, whenever any of these routers, these 4 routers will receive any traffic, what they will do, they will drop the packets. Reason, right now they don't know how to reach 1.1.1.1 and how to reach 2.2.2.2. Correct? Right guys, any doubt to this point?
Yes.
Yes, any doubt or it's clear?
It's clear.
Okay. So what will happen here? Now we have 2 solutions. The first solution, what we can use a redistribution feature. Okay. The second solution, what we can use MPLS. But using redistribution, we have 2 issues again. Okay. First of all the core routers will handle all the routes, right? They will receive the traffic. So definitely even after MPLS, they will receive the traffic. Okay. So the first issue in the redistribution, what we have, all the core routers will handle all the routes. The second issue we can have. So this is a very real chance. Okay. We can have this issue. So the second issue, maybe using redistribution, if we have, okay guys, can you assume like what is the second issue using redistribution? Can you guess? The second issue with the redistribution.
We need to go each and every router to distribute that traffic. So it will be very.
No, basically what I can do here.
All the provider routers also has to be of a high configuration because it has to handle means lots of this packets and then
Okay.
a prefix
So
also.
yeah, that is including here, right? All the routers will handle all the traffic, all the routes, right? It means that should be a higher router, correct? This is like a second reason.
So we may not be having access to the core switch always like.
Okay, basically, let me explain you.
So
What is the main second reason? That is, if we have 2 points of redistribution, then we can have issue of suboptimal routing. Okay, so without these two things, first of all, what we can have, we will be having a black hole here. So this is called as black hole, where core routers will receive the traffic and will drop the traffic. That is called as black hole. Okay, if someone asks what is black hole in the case of BGP, so you can explain this diagram. In this case, what will happen here? R2, R1, R4, R3 will act as a black hole routers. Okay, now come here. So here the second issue, if we have 2 points of redistribution, then we can have issue of suboptimal routing. Now again, so again, as I told you, like to learn the MPLS, you should know what is BGP. To learn BGP, you should know how the IGP protocols work. Okay, so this is the part of redistribution. So guys, any idea what is the sub routing? Let me explain you. Suboptimal routing. Basically, routers will be having a shorter path to reach a destination, but due to wrong redistribution, routers will always choose longer path to communicate. Okay. So in this case, this is called your suboptimal routing. The routers will be having a shorter path, but to reach the destination, but due to the wrong redistribution, the routers will always choose a longer path to communicate. Okay. I think maybe the theory is not clear. I will draw a diagram, so this theory will be more clear. Let's see. We have R1 here is connected to R2, is connected to R3, R4, R5, R6, R7. So in this diagram, we are using, let's say we are using OSPF. Okay. And in this area, we are using AIGRP. Okay. And This one is having 1.1.1.1, and this one is having 5.5. Okay. Guys, can you please mute your mic? Okay. So in this condition, what will happen here? First of all, to make the communication in between, what I need here, I need a redistribution, correct? And let's suppose this is a part of my core network. We have different protocols in between my core just to make the communication, and we are using here redistribution. Okay. Or let's say we have two edge routers here. Those are performing redistribution. Okay. Now, so here in this case, what will happen here? Let's say I will perform a redistribution here. So first of all, just tell me one thing. Okay, once I will perform a redistribution into OSPF, this router will be having the route with AD 110. Earlier it was receiving with AD 90. Correct? Right or wrong?
अब थोड़ी खुला मिलेगा.
Guys, can you mute your mic? Jatin. Okay. Now, so, okay, where I was. Okay. So in this condition, what will happen here? R2 will just choose the best path via EIGRP. Correct? Cool. R5 will receive that route with AD 110. That route is 1.1.1.1.1. Cool. Same here. I will perform the same redistribution here on this router. Correct? So let's say, okay, let's say I'm getting this route here, here, and here. So that is a route of OSPF. So in the OSPF, we have two routes, correct? R6 will receive those routes 5.5.5.5 and 1.1.1.1 route with AD 110, correct? So I will perform a redistribution here into EIGRP. Cool. Now R6 will receive the route 5.5.5.5 and 1.1.1.1 route with AD. Any idea, guys? What will be the AD value here?
170. 5, sir.
5? AD,
No, it's for some else.
170.
170 perhaps.
This will be 170, correct?
Yes.
Okay. R7, R1 will receive the route, correct? But in this condition, what will happen here? R6 will not do a redistribution of 1. Do you know why? Any idea?
We need to manipulate the matrix.
Redistribution of 1.1.1. Because already R6 is getting that route with AD 90, and the routers never redistribute backup or other available path. Okay. So using redistribution, what we can do, we can just redistribute the best path, only the best path. Okay. So in this condition, what will happen here? The routers, the router R6 will just maintain the route, will just redistribute the route 55555. Okay. This one is clear. Any doubt to this point? Guys, any doubt?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So let's say this router is also having a route 6.6.6.6 in case of OSPF, and the AD is 110. It will perform the redistribution. Yes, it will perform the redistribution, and yes, it will redistribute the route. Correct. R6, R1, and R2 will receive the route. Correct. Now R2 is getting some routes. Now look at what will happen here. R2 will receive the route 5.5.5.5. It is receiving from EIGRP and OSPF, but the route will be best via OSPF, correct? Due to lowest AD. It is also getting the route 1.1.1 directly from EIGRP, no problem with AD 90. With AD 90. Now, what will happen here? We are performing a distribution of 6666 also, but again, it will receive the route via this core 1110. So right now what is happening here? R2 is having a best path, 1 hop, 2 hop. So this 6 route is 2 hops away, correct? but the router R2 will choose best path via these routers to make the communication. Correct? Right or wrong, guys? So this is called suboptimal routing. Now, one more thing here. Let's see. We have another router here, R10. Okay, and this router is having a BGP connection. Okay. Now we have BGP peering. So once this BGP process, we are performing a redistribution here. What will happen here? R7 will send the route to R6 with AD. Let's say the route is 10.10.10.10. Okay, so this was my core network, and here we have BGP network that we are performing a redistribution. So what will happen here? Whenever R10 will send the route here, in this case, R6 will receive the route from this path. This is also performing the redistribution, and from this path also, correct? So R6 will install the route. First of all, it will be receiving the route from AIGRP as external with AD 170, 10.10.10.10. It will receive the route via OSPF also. The default AD will be 110, 10.10.10.10. The AD is 110. So what will happen here whenever any user will come to R6? So what will happen here? R6 will send the traffic out via like this to make the communication to this user, right or wrong? And this is called suboptimal routing. So we never perform this thing, never. Okay. So R6, first of all, look here. This router will be having best path to reach R6, that is why AIGRP, but no, due to AD, due to the redistribution, R2 will choose a longer path. Same here in the case of BGP. Now this is my core network. In the core, yes, I will be having issues, and with BGP, I will be having issues here. So once R7 will perform the distribution here in the core network, R6 will receive the route via R7 and R5 also, but R6 will choose best path via R5 due to AD value, and this is called suboptimal routing.
Means learning two routes from different routes. You can
Yes,
see.
yes, definitely it will receive the routes from both neighbors, R7 and R5, right? Because look here, on R2 we are performing a redistribution into OSPF. Yes, the OSPF will be having the route 10.10.10.10. The AIGRP is also having the route with AD 170. So this router will receive the route from AIGRP and will receive the route from OSPF also. So which one is the better route? I think this one is the better route, correct?
Yes.
Guys, from my side, the suboptimal routing part is clear. If you have any doubt, just tell me.
I have that doubt for the how it will become 170 and the AD value from R6 towards the route for the R1 or R7. How it will become 170 AD value for when we traverse our packet of 1.1.1.1 towards this.
Okay, you wanna ask for 10.10.10 or for 1.1.1.1?
I'm asking for 1.1.1.1 and
So I told
over
you,
the R6, yes.
I told you this is a single route. So R.5, this 555 will be having 170, but 1.1.1 is the internal route. So that will be having 90. I told you this thing, right?
Okay, okay.
That's the internal route. So that will be having 80-90. That will not be having 90.
Okay, okay.
Guys, any other doubt here? Anyone?
Does the feature of BGP next hop self reminds this also, sir? The things.
The BGP next hop self feature that we use if we are not using any kind of redistribution.
Okay, okay. Mm-hmm.
Because that use in the case of we are sending a route from one BGP neighbor to another neighbor. Right now, what is happening here? We are sending a route to BGP to core net to IGP network, right?
Right.
So that is a part of pure BGP if we are not using the restriction. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, any other doubt? Okay, cool. So I think this one is clear why we never use the part of redistribution, right? So yes, we have option. If we don't know MPLS, yes, we can use a part of redistribution, but that will be having these issues. Okay. The first issue, the second issue. Okay. But we never want these issues, correct? Now, using MPLS, what we can do, first of all, those both things, all the routers using MPLS, all the routers will just maintain core routes. It means the route belongs to my core. It means, let's say in OSPF, we have 7 routers, 1 to 7. Okay, so these 7 routers are the part of OSPF. So these routers will be having this route of OSPF. That's it. Okay. Now, so all the routers will just maintain the core routes, right? The route belongs to my to the same protocol. Okay. So first of all, this MPLS is just a application. Okay. We cannot say this is a real protocol. What the real protocol does? Any idea, guys? What the real protocol does? Let's suppose we have the real protocol, that is RIP protocol. We have EIGRP and we have OSPF, right?
Which doesn't need any other protocol to work.
Or we can say we doesn't need that these protocols doesn't need any other protocol to exchange the route, correct? So these protocols will be having power to exchange the routes between 2 routers, correct? Let's suppose we have 2 routers, R1, R2. So in between, if I'll run, let's suppose RIP, yes, they will exchange the route. Let's suppose I will run EIGRP. Yes, they will exchange the route. Okay. If I'll run, let's suppose OSPF, so yes, they will exchange the route. But MPLS is just an application. Okay. It means what we need here. Before MPLS, we need to configure IGP. Without IGP, MPLS will not work. Reason? Will explain you now.
You mean LDP and IGP synchronization, sir?
Sorry?
LDP and UGP synchronization, something IGP and LDP synchronization.
Yes, we can say basically the MPLS, what it will do, when it will just check the routing table. It will never check the neighbor. Okay. So to exchange the information, it will just check the routing table, what routes I'm having. Okay. Let's see. We have a core network. Printout diagram. R1, R2, R3, R4, R5, R6, and like this. Okay. So let's say first of all, let me take 2 examples here with MPLS. Sorry, with OSPF, without OSPF. So without OSPF or without any IGP protocol, what will happen here? Let's suppose I will configure here MPLS, I will configure here MPLS, I will configure MPLS on all the routers. Okay. So yes, they will form the neighborship, no doubt. They will form the neighborship. Okay. But what they will do, first of all, let's say R1 will not be having any route of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So what it will do, it will just exchange the information about connected route. Same here, R2 will check, okay, I'm having 2 interfaces, 1 and 2. So I will just advertise only these 2 interfaces to the neighbor, or we can see the real information. So what it will advertise, we'll discuss later. So in this condition, what will happen here? Without IGP, the MPLS will not work, never. Now, what will happen in the case of with MPLS feature? With IGP, sorry. So with IGP, yes, R1 will be having all the routes. So R1 will be having 1.1.1.1.1, 2.2.2. That is a directly connected route. And this is learned via other neighbors. Okay. 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay. So this belongs to R1. 2.2, 3.3, 4.4, 5.5, 6.6 belongs to R4 routing table. 1.1.1.1.1, 2.2, 3.3, 4.4, 5.5, 6.6. 1.1.1.1.1, 2.2, 3.3, 4.4, 5.5, and 6.6. And here we have 1.1.1.1.1 and 2.2 to 3.3, 4.4, 5.5, and 6.6. Same for R1, R2. So all the routers will be having the exactly same database, correct? Right or wrong, guys? All the devices will be having the same database, correct? Guys, can you hear me? Hello?
Your voice is echoing, sir.
Okay. Now, hello, guys, can you hear me?
Your voice is echoing, sir.
To all of you guys, okay, so yeah, so first of all, here all the routers will be having exactly same routing table. Okay, now what the MPLS will do? MPLS, let me note on the definition. MPLS will generate labels for already learned route in routing table. So what will happen here? The device will check, the MPLS will check basically how many routes we have in the routing table using any protocol. That doesn't matter. If that is directly connected, there is LANWI, BGP, or SPF, any protocol. What it will do, it will try to create some labels for those addresses. Okay, it means R1, R2, R3, R4, 5, and 6. All the routers will try to create some labels for all of these routers. So in this condition, yes, what will happen here? Maybe all the routers will be having the same, exactly same labels for all the routes. Okay. So first of all, once I will start the explanation of the labels, I will choose a different label on all the routers. Okay. And then we'll discuss what will be the real thing. Okay. Now, so guys, any doubt to this point? Any doubt to this point, guys?
No doubt. No doubt.
Okay. So with MPLS, what will happen here with IGP? What will happen here? The router, the MPLS will generate the labels for all the routes that are already learned in the routing table. Now,
So there is one doubt, like the router will generate all labels for RD or FT.
what is that? Come again?
The routing table or the forwarding table.
Okay. Basically, it will check the routing table. Okay. How many routes we have in the case of routing table?
Okay, if we have multiple routes, it will generate multiple label for that.
No, basically, multiple routes. Let's say we have R1. So R1 is having routes. So R1 using MPLS will create 6 labels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 labels here. Same here, R2 will create 6 labels for all the routes. 6 labels for these routes. 6 labels for these routes. 6 labels for these routes, and 6 labels for these routes. Okay.
So I think it will be going to forwarding table, isn't it, sir?
Forwarding table. Okay, we can say forwarding.
Yes, because if R1 is having the root of 6.6.6.6 from R2 and R for both, so it will generate 2 labels.
Okay. No. Basically, it will never check how many best path I have. Okay, don't worry. About those things, we'll discuss once we start the real labels. Okay. Right now, what you need to know, R1 will just create one single label for all the routes. Okay. Always, whenever the routers generate labels for the routes, they never check how many best path I have. Never. Okay. So they will never check how many best path I have. Let's suppose R1 is getting a route 1.1.1.1 from 10 neighbors, and all the routes are best. Okay. Okay. Just one question to all of you. Okay. That is a part of IGP. Just one question. Let's check like what is the correct answer here. Let's say we have R1. This is the IGP question. Okay. R1 is having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 routers, and all the 10 routers are sending 1.1.1.1.1 route. So all the route, let's say we are running here OSPF. Okay. So all the routes are sending this route to R1 with a cost 10. All the routers. Okay. Just tell me one thing. How many routes R1 will maintain? One single route or all the 10 routes? Okay. Or you can tell me the number.
I think the best route will go into the routing table, sir.
Yeah, it will use. It will keep routes.
Sorry?
I think all the one of the best route will go to routing table.
One of the best, but
route.
R1 is getting that single route from all of the neighbors with the same metric value, same cost value, right? So I think all the 10 routes are best route, correct?
Exactly.
Load balancing will happen.
Yes, sir. It will put
The
all
load
the
balancing, that is fine. But how many routes R1 will maintain? One single route it will maintain, all the 10 routes it will maintain the routing table, or a modified number, you can tell me. If
10 routes, sir.
Single route is it will maintain.
10 routes, sir.
All 10.
Okay. All the 10 routes. Any other answer?
all 10, sir.
The route with lower prefix.
Lower prefix,
Is
no.
it-
All the
Are
routes
we
are
using
having
OSPF?
slash 32, let's say. All the routes are exactly same. Identical, we can say.
Are you using OSPF?
Yes, I'm using OSPF. You can use any protocol.
By default, it will keep 4 paths in its routing table.
Okay, what is your name, bro?
Harshul.
Harshul. Okay, the answer is correct. So basically, what happens by default? Router will just maintain only 4 best route in the routing table. Okay, only 4. Reason: all the protocols have a same mechanism, maximum path for all the IGP protocols. If I talk about BGP, so by default that has maximum path. Any idea, guys?
Of 1.
No, by default, it is not providing load balancing.
Yeah, maximum path will be 1 for BGP.
1, yes. So IGP, yes, it by default it will perform the load balancing. So maximum path we can have 4. Yes, we can change this value. Okay.
Okay, maximum, what is the value that we can change to?
Here,
BGP?
right? Yeah.
55, is it?
32.
32.
32.
So
Okay.
16 was in OSPF, right?
Yes, yes. There is same in all the IGP protocols. In the BGP, by default that is 1. But yes, we can make this changes. We can do some changes here. We can perform the load balancing. Okay. Okay. Now. Okay, this is done. So, okay, whenever the router generate labels for all the routes, never check how many best path we have. Same here. Let's say R1 will install the 4 best path, correct? So R1, let's say it will install the best path 1.1.1.1.1 is best path via R2. Same is best path via R3. Is same for R4. Is same for R5. Okay. So right now what will happen here, R1 will check, okay, all these 4 routes are same, correct? So what I will do, I will just create one single label for 1.1.1.1.1. It will never create 4 different labels for a single route, okay? So always all the routers will create one single label for a single route, okay? Here. Guys, any doubt to this point? Anyone?
No, sir.
Okay.
So could you repeat the question?
Question. No, I was just explaining this one. How many labels it will create for the routes? Okay. So in this condition, R1, let's say we have 4 best route. Okay. So R1 will just create one single label for these routes. Okay. Because all these prefixes are same. All are 1.1.1.1.1. So R1 will consider one single label for these routes. Okay. Clear? Any doubt, guys?
No, it's clear.
Okay. Now, okay. So with IGP, okay, I think this one is clear to all of you, right? Now let's start. How the routers with the labels. Okay. Now we will discuss. How the routers will propagate labels and how they will maintain received labels. Okay. So we'll discuss how the routers will propagate the labels to each other and how the routers will maintain the received labels. Okay. R1 is connected to R2, is connected to R3, is connected to R4. Okay, so what will happen here? Let's say, okay, only 4 routers. R5. This one is having one single route, that is 4.4.4.4. So guys, now we are discussing the real distribution of labels and the originating labels. So all the routers will be having all the labels, all the protocols, or all the routes, sorry, correct? Let's say we are using a protocol RIP, EIGRP, or OSP, that doesn't matter. All the routers will be having all the routes. Now, I will create a table, okay? 1.1.1.1.1, 2.2.2.2.2, 3.3.3.3.3, 4.4.4.4, and finally 5.5.5.5. So all of the routers, all these routers, like these 5 routers, will be having these routes, correct? So these 5 routers will be having the same routing table. Now, let me use R1 first of all. So first of all, I will discuss the local labels. We have 2 types of label. Okay, the one we say local label. The second we say that is remote label. Okay, what is the local label? Generated by
Local
router itself. Okay, what is the remote label? Receive the label neighbor. Okay, the local label, it means, let's suppose I have created a label 10 for 1.1.1.1.1. That is my local label, and someone is giving me a label 20 for 1.1.1.1. That will act as remote label for me. Okay. So I think the local label and the remote label, these two terms are clear, correct? Guys, two terms.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Correct.
Hello.
Yes, sir. It's okay.
Will it be the same label that has been traversed from local label of a router to the another neighbor router? The remote label I want to ask.
Coming in, what was your question?
My question is that if a router has been generated a local label and that label has been traversed to the neighbor of this router.
Okay.
So the neighbor router who receives the label is the remote label for it.
Correct. Right. Perfect. Right.
Okay.
Okay. I think it's clear to all of you, right?
Yes.
Right. One more thing. Routers never create label for directly connected route, or we can say it will create a label, but we cannot say that is a real label. Okay. The name for the label, let's say I'm having a route 1.1.1 as directly connected, and these routes learn via neighbors. So yes, I will definitely generate some labels for these routes, but for 1.1.1 route, I will create a special label. That name is implicit null, or null label. Okay. So here we have implicit null, and the label number is reserved here, that is 3 for this null. Okay. So for the local, for the directly connected routes, the router will create a label definitely, but that is null label. It means nothing. Okay. Or indirectly we can say that route will not be having any label, any local label. Clear? Guys, any doubt till this point?
No, not now. It's clear. Yep.
Okay. So we have
It will be used when we are using PHP, right, sir?
Yes, correct. Don't worry, I will go one by one. I will explain everything. Okay, don't worry.
Sure.
So we have two types of things. One is implicit null and one is explicit null. Okay, so about that one I will discuss later. Okay. Now, so right now let's discuss only with these labels like local, remote, and implicit null. So let's start with R1. R4, R1, R2, R3, R4, and R5. Okay, so about the R1, yes, R1 will check the first route 1.1.1.1.1. Okay, so what it will do, it will create a local label. So I can say that is null. Okay, it will create a label for 2. Let's say that is 16, 17, 18, 19. Right now I will use a different labels on all the routers, but in the real scenario all the routers will start like this: null, 16, 17, 18, 19, null, 16, 17, 18, 19. So right now I will just use other labels to explain these things. Okay, R2 will also create the same thing. It will say no, 1.1.1 is received from R1. Sorry, yeah, it received from R3. That doesn't matter. It will create a label, let's say that is 20. Null here, 21, 22, and 23. Okay, 24, 25. It will create null label, 26, 27, and 28, 29, 30, null, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, null label. So guys, any doubt till this point? So these are the local labels only. Okay.
Okay.
Local label, local label, local label. Now these routers will try to exchange these labels with the neighbors. Okay. Now I will note down here
Right.
remote label. Let me use R for that one. Okay, remote label. R1. Okay. R1 will receive from R2 and R5. Correct. R2 will say I'm using label number 20 for one route. R5 will say I'm using 32. Clear? Any doubt?
Yes.
R2 will say my label is my local label. It will share with R1. R5 will exchange the label with R1, sorry, right? So routers just exchange the label with only directly connected neighbor. So how they will share the labels to indirectly connect neighbor, that is part of advanced. Okay, so don't worry, we'll discuss in the later. Okay, so right now just focus on this one. The routers will exchange the information or the labels only with the directly connected route. Okay, in future we can discuss other things also. So this is run, and R2 will say, like for other routes, for this one I'm using null. R5 will say I'm using 33, 21, 22, 23. Same here, 34, 35, and null. Correct? Now, come back to R2. R2 is having two neighborship. One is by R1, one is by R3. R1 will say null 16, 17, 18, 19 via R3. It will say 24, 25, null, 26, 27. Cool. It has two remote, these both are remote label. Come back to R3. R3 is having connection with 2 and 3. 2 and 4, sorry. R3 will receive 20, null, 21, 22, 23. From 4 it will receive 28, 29, 30, null, and 31. Cool. R4 will receive from 3 and 5. So R3 will say 24, 25, null, 26, 27. It will say 32, 33, 34, 35, and null. So like this, they will be having multiple labels for a single route. Okay. But whenever they will create the labels, they will generate the labels, they will just generate one single label. Okay. Once they will start receiving the labels like a route in the update. Okay. So they will be having multiple things. Same here. So once they will receive the labels from the neighbor router, they will be having multiple labels. Okay. R5 is having connection with 1 and 4. So one will say null for this one, 16, 17, 18, 19. And R4 will say 28, 29, 30, null, and 31. Okay. So guys, any doubt till this point?
No, sir.
This is the very main part here. Okay. In this class, this is the very main part. Okay. Just focus on this one. So,
Okay.
Here, these routers, like all of these routers will be having data database. Okay. Or we can see this is the label table. Now what will happen here? These routers will start searching the best label, right? Because they have to choose one single label. Maybe let's say if I talk about 1212 R2. From R2 to reach.
I think the label written next to R5 is wrong.
Sorry.
The labels, remote labels written to next to R5 are wrong. 28, 29, 30. Yeah, because it will get from R4, not R3.
R4, yes. Always, because R5 is having connection with R1 and R4.
Yes, you have written the label of R3.
No, it's correct.
That is correct.
It is correct, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Right, because all the routers will just exchange a local label to the neighbor. They will never exchange remote label to again to next neighbor, never. Okay, they will just exchange a local label to directly connected neighbor. Okay, it's clear, guys.
Yep, clear.
Okay, so okay guys, let's take a 5-minute break. Okay, then we'll start. Okay.
Sure.
Sure.
So in this case, like how these routers will find the best path, or we can say how they will find the best label. Let's say R1 is getting 2 labels, right? To reach 4.4.4.4.4, I'm getting 2 remote label. One is 22 and one is 35. Now, how this device will get to know which one is the best label, correct? Because first of all, it has to find the best label. Then only whenever it will send the packet out to the neighbor, it will check, or what you can say, it will add a best label at that time, correct? Now, what will happen here? To choose the best label, it will check the router, or we can say that route learn via best neighbor, or we can say it will check the routing table to find the best path. So 1.1.1.1.1, sorry, R1 is having best path in the routing table to reach 4.4.4.4.4 is best via R5. Okay, so it will be having a next hop. Let's say the next hop is 15.0.0.5. So now the device will check. I'm getting 2 routes, 2 remote labels, 22 from R2 and 35 from R5 in my routing table. Which one is the best path to reach 4.4.4.4.4? It will check, okay, R5 is the best router to reach 4.4.4.4. So I will choose this route, this label as a best label. Okay, it is clear. So it will do a filtering like, let me copy this one. So it has all the labels right now here, correct? Now I'll do some filtering. Not filtering, it will just choose the best labels. Okay. So here, to reach 1.1.1.1, that is directly connected. So it will never use these remote label to make the route best. So this is the best label here. To reach 2.2.2.2, we have 2 labels. One is null, one is 33. It will check the routing table. Which one is the best path? It will check R2 directly connecting neighbor is my best path. I will always be using null label. Then 3.3.3.3. So one will check how to reach 3. It means the route is best via R2 is the best label. Right. Same here to reach 4.4.4.4. The path via R5 is the best. To reach 5, the path via R5 is the best. So this is the label. This is the best label. Same here, R2 will check. Okay, to reach 1.1.1.1, what I have, this is the best neighbor. So I will choose this label as the best label. To reach 2.2.2.2, yes, the null label will be the best label that is directly connected in the routing table. Okay, it will always check the routing table to find the best label. Okay, same here. To reach 3.3.3.3.3, it will check the okay, R3 is the best router directly. So I will choose null label. To reach 4.4.4.4.4, so it will check okay. So in this condition, to reach 4, 1, okay, R3 is the best route. The label via R3, correct. To reach 5, so look here, to reach 5, the best path is via R1, correct? This is the best label. Same here. To reach 1.1.1.1.1, R2 is the best router. To reach 2.2.2.2, null label is the best label, that is the best from the routing table. To reach 3, yes, the null label is the best label. To reach 4, yes, here this is the best label. To reach 5, which one is the best label? R4, right? R4 is having the least number of connections, so 1 and 2 only, right? So the path via R4 is the best. To reach 1.1.1.1, the path via 5 is the best. To reach 2.2.2.2, the best path is via 25. It means from R3. Same here for this is that is null. Same here, that is null. And to reach 5, that is null. Correct? Same here, 5. Null label is the best label. Null label is the best label. Null label is the best label. Now here, to reach 2.2.2.2, the best path is via R1. To reach 3.3.3.3, the best path is via R4. To reach this neighbor, the best path is via one single router. That is R4. So here that is R4. So which one? Okay, R4 is having this label as label. Now, these are the best labels, correct? So yes, if let's suppose we have two best routes, let's suppose I will do some changes in the cost and I will choose two route as a best route in the routing table. So what will happen here, the device will choose both labels as a best label. So whenever, let's say I'm using both route as a best route in the table due to some changes of the cost. So what will happen here, whenever R5 will send the packet towards R1, it will choose 17 label, and whenever it will send the traffic towards R4, it will choose the label number 30. Okay, so like this, the router can have two best labels. Okay, so finally, it will get like this: 1.1.1.1.1, 2.2.2.2.2, 3.3.3, 4, and 5. Okay, so here on R1, null, best via R2, 21, 35, null, R2, null, 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 26 and 19, via R3, 20, null, 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 and 31. Same here for R4, 32, 25, null, null, and null. Same here R5, null, 16, 30, null, and null. Clear? Now, whenever R1 want to communicate to 1, it will remove the label. It basically, there is a connected route. It will receive a traffic to reach 2. It will use a null label. I will discuss about the null label. What is null label? To reach 333, it will use a label number 21. To reach 35, it will use label number. To reach 4, it will use label number 35. Same here, to reach 5, it will use a label number null. Sorry. So guys, any doubt to this point? How the router will find the best label from the table? Any doubt, guys?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, this one is done. Okay, so and okay. So these things are done. Okay, now let's talk about the MPLS label. First of all, the header, sorry. So whenever any router will add a new header of MPLS, first of all, whenever router will receive a packet, for a normal route, it will check the fib table. For a labeled packet, it will check LFIB table. Okay, so this is called your forwarding information base. This is your label forwarding information base. Okay, so whenever a router will add a label to the data, okay, what it will do, it will do like this. Let's suppose a router is getting a packet with the information of layer 2, with the information of layer 3. Okay, so once R1 will receive the traffic, it will send the packet to the MPLS core, and it will do one thing. It will add one more label in between 2 and 3, that is MPLS label. Okay, it means whenever any device will receive the traffic, it will remove the layer 2, it will check the label, and will send the packet out to the neighbor. Okay, so how the device will do this task, again we'll come back to this table. Okay, just one question to all of you. Let's suppose R1 is getting a label. Label number is getting a packet with a label number 30. Okay, so how this device will get to know I'm using this label for IPv4 or for IPv6, because if I'll talk about, let's suppose we have layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, and application layer, and the application layer data is telnet. So here I will be having a port number field, that is 23. I will be having here protocol number, that will be 6. Okay, and here I will be having a type field that will say that is IPv4, correct? It is clear. So in the case of layer 4 header, yes, I will be having a field to check what is the upper layer information. In the layer 3 also, I will be having an information how to check, or like, sorry, what is the upper layer information, that is IPv4 or that is TCP or UDP. Same in the layer 2, I will be having IP type field that will let us know that is IPv4, IPv6, or that is MPLS, if that is MPLS. Okay. Now, I will open the MPLS header. In the MPLS header, first of all, I will be having a field of label. Okay, the size is 20 bit. Then it will use experimental bit, with 3 bits, S, 1 single bit, and then finally TTL value. Any idea, guys, what is the size of TTL?
8, sir.
8. So total size is 32 bit. So if I talk about layer 4, we have port number field, cool. If I talk about IP header, what we have a protocol field. If I talk about layer 2 header, what we have a type field to check what is the upper layer information. Okay. Now the question is, this is my MPLS header, but right now we don't have that such field, because right now if I'll show you here, this is your label. Let's say here I will be having 32 label number. Experimental bit, I'm not using any bit, so 000. By default that will be 000. That is a part of collaborative service, how we use these things. Okay, that is as bottom of stack. That is a different thing we'll discuss. Then we have TTL value. So right now in this case, in this label packet, in this header, we don't have that such field to identify what is the upper layer information, because let's say I'm using a layer 2. This will say the upper layer is MPLS using type field. I will be having MPLS. Then I will be having, let's say, IPv4. And the upper layer data is, let's suppose, the UDP headers, the TCP header, let's say. And then finally, I will be having the telnet. So whenever R1 will receive the traffic, these packets it will receive, it will check, okay, that is layer 2, cool. Remove the label, okay. It will check type field, okay, the upper layer is MPLS. So before checking the MPLS, it will get to know what is the upper layer information. So using the type field in the layer 2, it will get to know what is the upper layer information, cool. But whenever R1 will check the MPLS header, using only these information, the device will never get to know what is the upper layer information, that is IPv4, that is IPv6, what we have, correct? The device R1 will never get to know what is the upper layer information. Now just tell me how R1 will get to know what is the upper layer information, that is for IPv4, that is for IPv6. Guys, just tell me, like, how the device will get to know what is the upper layer information.
From the LFIP table?
Sorry?
From the LFIP table?
LFIP table. Okay, just tell me, can you explain like how the device will get to know the upper layer is IPv4 or the upper layer is IPv6?
When we check at the header, what is the label in it? Destination of the label will be matched from the LFIP table, and it will know that it is IPv4 or IPv6.
Okay. Any other answer? This is correct, but okay. Any other answer? Guys, any other answer?
directly.
Sorry. Okay, let me explain. No issues. So you are correct. Basically, whenever R1, we'll check here. Okay. So it will get to know if, let's suppose, it will receive a label number, this one, or let's suppose R2 is getting a route with a label number. Who will send the route with the label number 22? Just wait. Just wait. I'm checking the label number. Okay. 34. Let me use. Let's say we have R1 here, R2 here, R3 here. We have route 10.10.10.10.10. It has local label 10, it has local label 20, it has local label 30. So the remote is 20, the remote is 30, the remote is 10. Okay, the remote is 20. So let's suppose R2 is getting a label. Okay, the label number is 10. So the label number will be 20 because this is the remote label is 20. It will send the packet out with the remote label 20. It will get to know, okay, I'm getting a, now whenever any device will receive a packet with a label, it will check the local label. It will compare with the local label. So once it will compare, it will check the label in the local label field, because it will check the in the local label table, correct? Let's suppose I'm getting a packet with the label number 20, right? It means R2 will just check the local label table, correct? It will check the local labels. So once it will check the label in the local label table, it will get to know to which route I have assigned this label, right? Because once it will start generating the label, it will get to know that I'm creating this label for IPv4. I'm creating this label for IPv4. I'm creating this label for IPv4. I'm creating this label for IPv4, right or wrong? So like this, it will check the local label, and once it will check the local label, it will get to know that is bind with IPv4 or IPv6. So using these conditions, using the local table, it will get to know, okay, that label is bind for this IPv4 address or for this IPv6 address. Okay. This one is clear now. Guys, this one is clear.
Yes,
Okay. Now, we'll discuss what is this null label and what is the use of this null label. Let's suppose we have R1 here. Let's suppose right now we don't have any field of null label. We don't have that concept. R2, R3. R3 has a route 3.3.3.3. So R3 will say my local label is 10, so your remote label is 10. R2 will say my remote label is 20, my local label is 20, your remote label will be 20. Correct? This is remote, this is local. Sorry. Local, remote, local, remote. Okay, so whenever R1 will try to send the packet out, 3.3.3.3 will be having a label 20. It will check, okay, what it will do, it will check, oh, I'm getting a label number 20. So that is now, that is local label. Now, what is the remote label? That is 10. It will send the packet out just to exchange the information of label with 10. Now, once it will receive, now it will check the LFIB table. So as I told you, whenever a router will receive the tape, will receive the packet, it will check the FIB table. If that does not have any label, it will check the LFIB table if that has some label. So in this condition, R3 will start searching the packet in the LFIB table, correct? But it will never find any remote label for this one, any best remote label, correct? Because this is the local route, okay, and this is the best label. So at that time, what will happen is the R3 will get confused. So what we need here, whenever R2 will try to send the packet out to the last hop, so R2 should remove the label. So whenever R3 will receive the traffic, it can check the the FIB table. Okay. So look here. Now we have this concept. It will choose null label now. Let's say we have null label here. It will say your remote label is null. Okay. It will create a local label that is 20. It will say your remote label is 20. Now the device will send the packet with 20, right? It will receive, it will check, oh, the local label is this one and the remote label is null. It means I have to remove the label. So now once the device will send this packet out to this link, the packet will never carry any MPLS header. R3 will just receive a clean packet, and this is called PHP. Penalty made hop popping. Okay, so what is PHP? One hop before the router will remove the label. Okay, one hop before the router will pop the label. Pop we can say remove, that is both are the same thing. So before one hop, the device will just remove the label. The device R3 will receive a packet that is clean packet without any label. And yes, it can check the routing table to receive the traffic to the local interface. Okay guys, any doubt till this point? Anyone, any doubt guys?
No.
Okay.
Sir, please repeat once.
Sorry?
Sir, please repeat all this PHP.
Okay, this PHP, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the process of removing, or we can say popping, the label before one hop is called PHP. And why we need this one? Whenever this router R3, if R3 will receive a route, will receive a traffic with a label, and that is the local label. Okay, let's say local label is 10 and that is directly connected. It will always check the L-fib table, because whenever a router will receive a fib, will receive a traffic without a label, it will check fib. If receive a traffic with label, it will check L-fib, but in the L-fib, it will never find any best remote label, right? Because that is directly connected interface. So at that time, what we need here, whenever R3 will receive a traffic for its directly connected interface, it should not receive the label. So what R2 will do, R2 will check, okay, the remote label is null label. It means it will get to know, I have to remove this label. I'm getting a packet with the label. So now if that remote label is null, it means I have to remove the label, and then I have to send the packet out to R3. Okay, it means R3 will receive a clean packet and can check the fib table. Okay, just to receive the route. Clear?
Yeah, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is your PHP. Now we have some other terms here. Okay, so the first term here we have. Okay, first of all, let's discuss what is PE. What is P?
Sir, sorry for intervention. Before proceeding further, in the last week we have discussed about something about TTL security feature in MPLS. Could you just tell me something about the same, sir?
TTL security.
I mean TTL something for trace router. You said something we will be discussing next week. Perhaps.
Okay. Sure. About the TTL, once I will start this header. Okay, about this header, I will discuss. Don't worry. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So what is PE? This is your provider edge router. Basically, we use these terms in the case of BGP. Okay. P, it means that is your pure provider router. CE, this is your customer edge router. Okay. So what is provider edge? That will be having a connection of BGP with the customer. BGP with customer and IGP and MPLS also. Okay. The pure provider router, that will be just having IGP and MPLS. That's it. It will never be having any BGP session, never. What is a customer router? That will be having just a eBGP connection with ISP. Okay. So in future also we will check these terms PE, PE, CE. So once I will start the practicals, because even today we are doing the theory part, right? So maybe from the next class we'll start the practicals, okay, of these MPLS. So PE is your provider edge router. P, it means your pure provider router. It means pure core router, we can say. And CE, your customer edge router. Okay. Now, when we use push, when we use swap, when we use pop, what is the meaning of push? We'll add a label, a push router. It means the router will add a label. Swap, we'll change the label. Now the last one, what is pop? Any idea?
To remove the label.
To remove the label.
Discard the level.
Remove the label. And now these are the terms: push, swap, and pop. The real term, the real name we use for the routers is ingress LSR. So ingress link state router will always do push, intermediate, and the final is egress. So any doubt in these three terms? Any? Okay. Now let's discuss the MPLS header. That is nothing. So first of all, it will be having a 20-bit field of label. Oh, sorry. So as I told you, the label size will be 20-bit. It means it will be having a power of 2 to the power 20, and the labels from 0 to 15 are reserved for other purposes. Okay. So label number 0 is reserved for explicit null. Label number 3 is reserved for implicit null. And others we can skip. Okay, so only these two are mandate. If someone asks in your interview, so maybe he can ask for the 0 or for 3, or explicit null and or implicit null. Okay, so these labels are reserved. That's why all the routers will always start from 16, not 0, not 1, not 2, not 3. Okay, always start from 16. And let's say we have R1, we have R2, we have R3. We have route number 1, we have route number 2, we have route number 3. It will start like this. That is directly connected. Null, 16, 17. 16, that is null, that is 17. Same here, 16, 17, null. Always they will start, all the routers will start from 16, 17, 18 like this, always. And these things will never face any issues. Okay, if you do like this, or if the routers will do like this, the routers will never face any issues, because here R2 will say remote label is 16, remote label is null, remote label is 17. That doesn't matter. Both are using 17, 17. That doesn't matter. Same here. The remote label is null. The remote label is 16. The remote label is 16. The remote label is 17 here. The remote label is 17 and the remote label is null here. Same. The remote is 16. The remote is null. The remote is 17. Okay. So yes, we can have the same remote and local label for a single route. So these two labels will be different labels. So this is the local label and this is the remote label. Always the routers will start from 16, 17, 18 like this. Okay. It's clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is your MPLS header. The first thing here, we have 20-bit label length. Okay. So you can use, you can do a multiplication to the power 20. So that value we can have those labels. Okay. The next part, we have experimental bit. Those are 3 bits we use in the case of quality of services. So what it will do, it will automatically do copy and paste. So if in future, if we start quality of service, you will get to know what is the use of this experimental bit. Okay. So this bit we can discuss in the case of quality of service. Okay. The next is S. What is S? This is your bottom of stack. So we have one single bit. It means that can be 0, that can be 1, right? So this bit can be 0, this bit can be 1. So if that is 0, start from 1. If that is 1, it means this is the last label. Okay. If that is 0, this header will be having other MPLS header. Okay. So a single device can have multiple MPLS header, can have a single label. If S bit is 0, it means that is the last label. Okay. If that bit is 0, sorry, if that is 1, this is the last label. If that is 0, it means this is not the last label. This packet will be having one more label. Okay. This is clear now. So if, look, in what case we use 1 or 0, this example, okay. So in the case of only IPv4 addresses, the packet will be having 1 always. Okay, let's say we have a design of 4 routers, and those 4 routers just use a case of IPv4, only IPv4. So yes, we will be having what, 1, or we can say a BGP neighborship, because the routers will receive the route from BGP neighbor, right? BGP neighborship with IPv4 neighbor, or IBGP we can say. Okay, but where we can have 0 in the case of VPN v4. IBGP neighborship with VPN v4.
Similarly, we can repeat with IPv6 and VPN v6, right? So
Sorry.
For IPv6, it will be 1 only, right?
Yes. If that is single MPLS header,
okay.
V1. If that is having double MPLS header, so here we have layer 2 frame, and here we have IP header or IPv6 header. It doesn't matter. Okay, because the label is same for all the packet types. So this packet will be having 0 in the S bit, and here it will be 1. Okay, so using this, the device will get to know, okay, this packet will be having upper layer information, that is MPLS label also. Once the device will receive 1, it will say, okay, now this is the last label. Finally, we can have just 2 labels at max. Okay.
Yes.
0, it means that is not the last label. We can have more other labels there. 1, it means that is the last label. Okay. So this packet will be having just one single label. That's it. And that we use in the case of IPv4, and the 0 we use in the case of VPN v4. Okay, guys. Any doubt at this point? And finally, what we have, TATL. So basics of TTL is, let's say we have R1, R2, R3, R4. Okay, so about the TTL, how the TTL will work in the MPLS. One more thing. Maybe I told you this thing, how the trace route and the ping will work, okay, in the case of MPLS and in the case of without MPLS. That we'll discuss in the last of MPLS classes, okay?
Sure.
So in this case, what will happen here, whenever R1 will send the packet out here, let's say the TTL is 255, it will just send here with 254, we'll do a decrement, 253, 252. If that is looped, let's say R1 is having a route that is best via R2, seeing the route is best via R3, the best is via R4, the best is via R1, like this, keep looping. Okay, so the packet will be dropped after, like once the TTL goes to 0. If the TTL goes to 0, the packet will not be routable. In this case, what will happen here? Whenever the device will add a label, we add a MPLS header, it will just do copy and paste IP header TTL2 MPLS header TTL. So by default, the MPLS header cannot add its own TTL value. What it will do, it will inherit from the IP header always. Okay, it means let's say we have R1, R2, R3. I'm getting a packet, and this is my MPLS core. So I'm getting a packet from the neighbor that is, let's say, this is the IP header, and this is your frame. And this IP header is having a TTL 250, let's say. So once it will receive, it will do a decrement to 249. It means before sending to R2, it will add 249. But here it will check, oh, router R2 is a part of MPLS, so I have to add here a MPLS header. So once R1 will add a new header, it will be like IP header, layer 2 header. In this case, it will add MPLS header. Now what TTL value I have to put here. It will just do copy from here. So here it is 249. It will just do a copy and paste into
नहीं
TTL.
नहीं मेरी नहीं है क्लास
In the case of this.
पढ़ा हुआ है ये
Okay, so it will be 2, 4, and 9. Clear? So always, whenever the device will add a TTL value in the MPLS header, it will just do copy and paste from the IP header. Okay, so this was about R1. Now let's talk about R2, what they will do. R1, R2, R3. So the route is 3.3.3.3. The local label is null, right? Here the 3.3.3.3. Local label is 16 and the remote label is null. 3.3.3.3. The local label is 17 and 16 and the remote label is also 16. It is getting a route. So what it will do, let's say I'm getting a packet here with TTL 250 in the IP header. It will add a new header. IP header, it will put 249. It will add layer 2 frame. It will add MPLS header and will add 249. And let's say we have 10 numbers of router here. In between one we have 10, 11, 12, and 13. So these routers we have. So once the packet will go to R10, R10 can just check this information. This router will receive a packet. Guys, can you please mute? Please. So what will happen here? R1 will send the packet out to 10. Okay. So whenever R10 will check the packet, it will check, oh, okay, the MPLS label is, let's say 19. Okay. I have to check the local label and then now I have to change it to, let's say 30. Okay. It will send the packet out to 11, but it will do one more thing. It will check the TTL value here, that is 249. It will do decrement 248. So once 10 will send the packet to 11, it will be like this. IP header, the device, the core routers cannot touch the IP header, never. So if they cannot touch, they cannot decrement the TTL value in the IP header. The MPLS will be having 248. Once 11 will send the packet out here to 12. IP header will be having 249. But the MPLS header will be having 248. Same here. Once 12 will send the packet out to 13. IP header will be having 249, but the MPLS header will be having 247, right? Because right now, look here, this is the exactly same part, right? Reason, the core routers cannot check the IP header. Reason, they are doing a forwarding on the behalf of labels. So using labels, the routers will always do the forwarding on the behalf of labels. And if they don't understand the labels, let's suppose on a single router I'm not using a label, so that router will drop the packet always. It will never allow to check the IP header, never. Because also, like always, the routers always check the layer by layer things. If they don't understand the label or the layer, they will drop the packet. 13 will send the packet out to 2. That will check, okay, the remote level is 16. So IP header 249 is a TTL. MPLS header, the label is 16. and it will use 2, 4, 6 to before sending the packet out to 2, right? Now R2 will check, okay, I'm getting a label number 16. Okay. What is remote label? That is null. It means I have to remove this MPLS header. Okay. So before removing this header, what it will do now, it will do one more thing. Before removing and popping, we can say, the egress router will copy and paste TTL from MPLS to IP header. Okay, so finally, once this router R2 will send the packet out to R3, it will be like this. IP header with TTL, now it will do copy and paste. So it was 246, it will do decrement 245, right? It will change this one with 245 and will send the packet out to R3, and it will be having a layer 2 frame. So finally, R3 will receive the correct TTL in the IP header. Okay, so like this, the devices will do this task. It means we can see the ingress LSR will do copy from IP header to MPLS header. If I talk about egress LSR, it will copy from MPLS header and will paste to IP header. Just to maintain that process, because whenever R3 will receive the packet in the IP header, that details should be decrement like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? That's why the devices are doing this task. Okay. This one is clear.
Yes.
Any doubt to this point?
And the whole process is called Pentimeter hop popping.
Yes. No, only this process. Only this router will do PH. Guys, just give me 1 minute. I'm getting. No. Okay, so yes, the last router, R2 router, will do PHP. So if let's suppose I will draw a diagram. In this case, R1 we have R1, we have R2, R3, R4, R5. Okay, so we have route here 5.5.5. This is the route of R5, and R1 want to communicate. So just tell me. So from these 5 routers, which router is ingress? Which routers are intermediate? And which one is egress? It means which router will do push, which router will swap, and which router will pop. Tell me the correct answer, guys.
I mean, router 1 will be ingress.
Router 1 will be the ingress. Okay.
R2 will be, I think, intermediate. R2 and R3.
R2 and R3 will be.
And R4 will be egress.
Perfect. So these answers are. So R1 will just add a new label. R2 and R3 will always swap the labels, right? It will receive a label, it will check the local label, it will add a new, it will check the new remote label, will send the packet out to R3. R3 will receive the packet, it will find the local label list, will check the remote label associated with the local label, and will send the packet out to R4, and R4 will pop the label, right?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt till this point, guys?
On R5, is the MPLS is not running on R5?
Yes, we are running. That's to the reason R5 is saying use a null label, right? If I will not run here MPLS, so R5 will not be able to say use a null label, right?
But when we are using null label, at that time also label will be of 3, right? As you mentioned earlier, for null label, it gives a label of 3.
That is reserved, but once I will capture the packet, okay, we cannot see those labels at that time. Okay, that is just a null label. Okay. That is
So
just
at R4 again swapping will happen, right?
yeah.
Because
So
for
it
the
will,
whatever it will be
no,
there.
R,
So with the null it has to swap. Then only.
no, not swap. That is popping the label. It means that is removing. I'm saying here we cannot see the label. It means we cannot see the MPLS header, right? Correct. It means
Okay.
whenever R4 will send the packet out to R5, it will check null. It means I have to remove the MPLS header. It means I cannot check those things here. That's why. Okay.
Okay. So implicit null whenever it is there. So that is not considered as swapping of the labels.
Yes, that is considered as popping the label. Yes.
Okay. What about explicit null?
That is a part of collaborative service. Okay, so once we start collaborative service, in that case we can discuss that part. But don't worry. Once I will finish the this MPLS, I will just discuss it. Don't worry.
Okay. Okay, one more doubt, sir. Actually, this R1 is there, suppose, and then R5 routers are there. So R1 is connected to some network and then R5. Suppose R1 side network wants to communicate with the R5 side network, then what will be the packet format? Like in a normal IP header, what we see is source MAC, destination MAC, then source IP, destination IP will be there, right? So in the same sense, how the packets will be, how the packet will be formed in this one, in
Okay,
MPLS case.
yeah, R1, R2, R3, R4, R5 is connected to a customer. It's connected to a customer, that is, let's suppose router number 10 connected to a customer router number 11. Okay, so router number 10 has a route that is 10.10.10.10. Okay, and R11 is having that route that is reachable via 10. R1, sorry. 11 will send the packet out to R1. Here we have MAC address A, B, C, D, E, F, AA, BA, CA, BA, EA, FA. Okay. So whenever 11 will send the packet out here, first of all, it will choose a source. Let's suppose here we are using source is 11.11.11.11. So it will add like this. First of all, ICMP it will add. It will add layer 3 header with the 11.11 and 10.10 as destination. It will add MAC addresses A and B. Once it will receive, R1 will receive, it will remove this header. The layer 2 header, it will check, oh, 10.10 is reachable via R5. And that is part of my LFIP table. R5, how to reach R5, that is a part of LFIP. What R1 will do, R1 will try to add a new MPLS header. It will do like this. This will be same, this will be same. It will add MPLS label. Let's suppose that is 10. And will add C and D. R2 will receive the packet. R2 will remove the information and will check, okay, the label number is 10. So I have to check a remote label. Let's suppose the remote label is 20. It will remove these two things. These two things will be same. It will add MPLS with 20 with E and F with these new MAC addresses. Again, R3 will receive. R3 will remove this one and this one will check, okay, 20. Now the remote label is 30. These two things will be same and will add 30. Will add AA and BA as a MAC addresses. R4 will receive the packet, right? So in this case, again, R4 will remove this one, will remove this one, will check, oh, 30 is bind with 40. No, there is null this time. Okay, it means I have to remove the label. Okay, it will remove this thing. Now it will not add the MPLS. What it will add, it will directly add CA and DA. CA and DA. It will check, okay, now I have to send the packet out to 10. It will now, once it will receive C and DA, it will check, oh, yes, this is my layer 2 header. I will remove this one. Now it will get to know that is IP header, and that IP header is having source is 11 and the destination is 10.10. And yes, I am having that route in my routing table. Route is learned via BGP. No problem. The route is best via R10. It will remove these things and will add new addresses. 11.11 will be there, 10.10 will be there, and the new address will be EA and F. Okay, like this 10 will receive the packet. Okay. Once I will start the trace route feature, because here this is the different process and this is the ICMP process. Okay, once I will start the trace route, I will discuss two different flow of trace route in the case of MPLS only. Okay, so we'll discuss about that one, because look here, whenever what we do, whenever we trace a website, what we get only, let's suppose I'm tracing a website that is www.google.com. We just get only 8 to 9 hops, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that is correct. That is true. That if I'm accessing from here, I'm doing a trace route and to a Google server. Okay. That is just 8 hops away from me. No, that is not possible. Correct. So due to some features, what we get only these 8 hops. Okay, so how we get only these 8 hops and how we can have all the hops, we'll discuss. Okay, we'll discuss, don't worry. Again, if we know the MPLS, then only we can discuss the trace out those both features. Okay, that is a part of MPLS, we'll discuss. So guys, any doubt to this point?
Yeah, thank you, sir. That was clear actually. But for the MAC address,
Mhm.
here we don't have IP address lookup. So based on the labels only, that MAC address will be generated for the
Yes,
different one.
always correct, always right.
Okay.
Because tomorrow, like the next class, I will show you the tables. So once you will see the tables, let's suppose if I'll talk about the Ceph table. In the Ceph table, yes, I will be having a exit interface, correct? So using that interface, it will add some MAC addresses. Same here. Once I will show you the forwarding table of the labels, okay, the MPLS forwarding table. So I will show you the interface also there associated with your label, okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Guys, any doubt to this point?
No, sir.
It's clear to all of you.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah, so there is one thing that I've read. So that's it. There are two types of labels that MPLS can generate. Either it can be based upon the interface, or it can be based upon the neighbor, something like that.
basically the router will always create a local label. It will not create other labels. It will just create a local label, right?
Perhaps I have heard of something, sir, VPN level and transport level, something kind of. Is it something?
Yes, the VPN label we'll discuss. Don't worry. There is a part of VPN v4. So once we start VPN v4, we will discuss about that. Okay.
Mhm.
How the router will add two labels, how the router will add a VPN v4 label.
Okay.
Guys, any other doubt?
No, sir.
Guys, if you have any doubt, just tell me. Like I discuss everything. If you have any doubt.
Yes, sir. Please share your number because in our WhatsApp I can't find your number.
Okay, my number.
Yes, exactly, sir. Same with me also.
Okay, I'm not just. This is my number. Okay. So guys, any doubt to this point?
No, sir.
Okay, I think it's clear to all of you, right? So guys, before the next class, just make sure like you should be expert in these things. Okay, like these are the basics again, I can say. So in the next class, we will start with the protocols. What protocols we use in the case of MPLS, how they work, the message type, the other information we'll discuss. Okay. And how we enable the protocol. It means in the next class, we will discuss the protocol, what protocol we use to enable MPLS. Okay. And discuss the practical also. We'll do the practical. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, guys, then. Bye. Take care.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Bye. Good night.
Thank you and good night.
Bye. Good night, Mike.